Hello everybody, sorry for the late start. Welcome to the video game collecting panel. I'm Carey, Martell. I'm a game journalist with originalgamer.com, also an affiliate with Machinima.com. I have a YouTube partner channel through them. This is 8-Bit Eric.
What's up guys, how's it going? How's everybody's day going? It's hot outside, right? Yeah, I like this building a lot more than the one with the gym, I gotta tell you that.
Yes.
Thanks for coming and checking us out. We had a panel this morning too. We had a video game journalism panel, and it was an early panel, so it wasn't really, I'm glad y'all came. There was only like a couple of people.
Yeah, it started like right at 11, so a lot of people were still getting their passes and stuff, so it was kind of small.
Like I've been doing YouTube videos for about 2 years. I'm still kind of a newbie. I'm not a partner yet, but I mostly do retro reviews and pickups, stuff like that. But yeah, and I also collect too, so.
He does have a monetized account.
Yeah. So.
YouTube sees promise in him.
So I take everybody here. I take everybody here either already collects or is interested in collecting. How long has everybody here been collecting for the most part?
Since about 8 years ago.
8 years ago.
Actually, about 20 years.
Well, you know what my mistake was? I had all the cool stuff when I was a kid, but then you reach that age and you're like, I want the Nintendo 64, and your parents are like, oh, well you have the Super Nintendo, you don't need that. And you're like, well, get rid of it. Yep. And then you never get that same game again.
I regret trading in my SNES and my cartridges to knock $100 off my first PS2, but I was broke at the time. Even though I could get the things I want on virtual console, because I've been gaming since the original NES era. I was in middle school, I'm that old.
My other biggest regret is not keeping the boxes for anything that I had. So, but this guy has a freaking deluxe NES with ROM, complete box with the styrofoam, all the inserts, all the posters.
I had that since I was a kid, actually, too.
So yeah, that's his NES, the one that he opened.
I actually had the opposite problem. I retained all the stuff I had when I was a kid, and I had this huge collection. The mistake I made was selling it.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the value of it was. I think I sold it for somewhere around $4,000 eBay bit by bit. But now I'm trying to rebuild it.
See, the major problem is that us collectors, it's getting hard now because everybody wants to jump in the retro video gaming bandwagon, and that's where part of like why you have the first thing that I think of like when you want to collect is you got to decide what you're going to collect for. Some people do it just for fun. Some people do it for the nostalgia value, which is what I do. And then some people do it just to sell the stuff right away. Like they get a game for cheap and then they mark it up. So basically you got to decide what you want to do. For me, it's fun and nostalgia, but like I mentioned, it's getting a little bit more difficult because, when you collect for nostalgia, you get the system that you grew up with. And me, it's the NES, no matter what. And the games for that are starting to get a little pricey. They're not necessarily hard to find. You can find them like at any retro, like Game Over Games, flea markets, everything. But you start seeing games for like 25 bucks. Like, there's no reason why Super Mario Brothers 3 has to be 25 bucks in my opinion.
There is a reason actually. It's called demand.
Yeah, that's the thing.
How it works is that anything that was that came out like 20 years ago, 30 years ago for kids, it's going to be collectible. Is this even on?
Yeah, you got to
Oh, okay. So anything that came out, when you were a kid, someone was a kid, now they're an adult, they've got some spare money, they're probably not married. They're going to be trying to recapture their childhood. It doesn't matter what it is.
And they won't care what the price is.
He tried to rebuy all his old G.I. Joes. When I say G.I. Joes, I mean the really big ones, the original models that came out. He tried to buy all that stuff back up when I was a kid, and he was my age. And now it's my generation buying up their video game stuff. So, and that's for all you. I guess there's not a lot of younger people out there, but the stuff that's coming out right now, buy it, put it away, and it will at least retain its value.
Yeah, the more retro it is, the harder it is to collect, and then also you got to factor in how you want to collect it. I just get the games loose, but there's people who like to have everything down to the T, the box, the little inserts, the little foam, the little stickers that came with it, and like I bought an Earthbound a couple years ago, and I didn't get it complete. I just got it loose, and that alone was 90 bucks.
I sold Earthbound for $30 a couple years ago.
Question?
I finally caved and bought a Wii at a pawn shop for $74. are you telling me that that's going to be worth something in about 10 years?
It will.
Everything generally is worth something eventually. What's up?
It'll be worth more if it has a bunch of virtual console games on it too.
Yeah.
My Earthbound was decent. It was like just everything was. The only thing that was missing was the box, the manual, and the strategy guide. Yeah, pretty much. Like he just mentioned, obviously right now buying the newer systems is a lot easier. For example, you can find PlayStation 2 games everywhere, and they're cheap. And what I recommend is you get those right now because I bet you within 5 years.
No, two.
Actually, yeah, maybe about 2, 3. They're gonna be overpriced. Like GameCube, all of a sudden, like I swear, in the past year, you can't find a GameCube game with a jack. And
That's true.
I'd say about like 3, 4 at tops. You could find copies of Final Fantasy VII, PS1. Then the greatest hit releases, not the Black Label original versions, $10.
Yep.
Now, it doesn't matter what it is, like $60, $80. And that is by no means a rare game. That, jeez.
I mean, if it reaches greatest hits, that means there's thousands of them that were bought,
Yeah,
right? So
there's
that
lots
means
of naked
there's
print
thousands of them out there. I guess the whole, since retro is becoming mainstream now, I guess the whole like misconception is just because it's old, it's valuable, or just because it's old, it's rare. When that's not really the case. And you know, I had a lot of bad, you know, I don't want to say deals where you think you're getting a good deal, and then like literally, like I'll want a game for like months, and I cave in, buy it, and then I swear, like not even that same week, I walk somewhere and I see it for like $3 when I just spent like 20 on it.
Another example is Atari 2600 games. Well, like I'd say like 99% of them are not worth more than $1, honestly. There are millions of those cartridges. Or at least there used to be. I don't know now, but there's still a lot. Because that was like $1 billion industry.
Well, for example, Goodwill, probably till like a couple years ago, they were good about finding, you know, used games. You can go and get a NES game for $2, but I just went in like the other week and I swear everything was like $6 or more. And what makes me mad about Goodwill is everything's donated there in the first place.
Yes.
So they're getting the stuff for free and then they're marking it up. That's like worse than eBay almost in my opinion. But like, I mean, you're gonna have bad experiences collecting no matter what. You just gotta keep searching because you never know, right? The pawn shop right here might have, you know, Nintendo World Championships for all we know, and somebody's turning it in right now.
If you want to buy games from the Goodwill, go to the one that's in Austin. They have specifically a video game museum exhibit, and then they have like an electronics store. And you can find not just like video game stuff cheaply that isn't auctionable. You just buy it individually, and it's like maybe $5, $10 tops. You buy whole consoles that way, Dreamcast, 64s, all kinds of stuff.
Which Goodwill in Austin is it? Because there's a few of them.
I'm trying to remember.
It's off of Lamar, right?
It's the main one. It's the main one.
It's just a Goodwill, it's not a Computer Works or anything.
I think it is Computer Works. It's a big, a huge one. Yeah. I want to say Lamar's the street or something.
You can
like
buy
that.
computer like actual.
I shop there regularly. It's 183 and Cameron, I want to say. It's in front of the Walmart. That's on Clock Tower Drive.
So each Goodwill is like very local and specific, like San Marcos, for example. They auction off every video game thing, and it's usually like triple what I would actually pay for it. But if you go to that Computer Works store, cheap.
See, I think the major problem is the popularity of YouTube has made collecting harder. YouTube, eBay, and Craigslist are ruining every gamer's universe right now. Like I hate SOPA, but if someone would have gotten rid of eBay and YouTube and made me be able to buy games cheap again, you know, that's a joke though, nobody hold that against me. But yeah, YouTube, popularity.
Consider yourself black dog on the internet.
Yeah, this goes on. 4chan invasion.
What I was saying though is YouTube's gaming channels have picked up, like there's a gajillions of them, it's saturated, and everybody on there is talking about games that are rare, and retail stores like Game Over are paying attention to stuff like that. I mean, for example, they had the Marriott 6-in-1 there a couple months ago, and that was $999 price there.
That's like one time we were at a comic shop over in Houston that was closing down, and they had a sealed copy of Cheetah Man 2. They wanted $1,000 for it.
I would have bought it. Cheetah Man for only $1,000, I would have bought it. I bet you on eBay it's more than that right now.
Think of something better to do with $1,000 and buy Cheetah Man 2.
Cheetah Man 2.
I would love that kind of back.
Cheetah Man 2 is so rare that not even, well, everybody knows Pat Nanius Punk has Nintendo World Championships. That's one game that he doesn't even have is Cheetah Man 2.
That's not the kind of collector, Ryan. So he wants to like own the whole.
Every single one. I don't care.
Certain games I actually think are good.
I just traded one of my doubles of Ninja Gaiden 2 for Fisher Price Firehouse Rescue the other day, just because I didn't have it.
No, I'm the same way with Sega. Oh my
God.
Such I get like everyone there, so I think
Ninja Gaiden?
No, just Ninja Gaiden 2.
yes, I would.
Okay.
But, anybody have any questions or any stories that they might have about the collected or any comments, anything?
Yeah, like what kind of games do you guys collect?
I collect like
Sega
retro games.
Actually, I got a good one. I was actually.
Organ design?
I'm from Houston. I actually went to a place called Trader's Village.
Yeah,
And they actually had a
games,
whole like bunch
boxes.
of Sega stuff and Nintendo stuff on the wall. And I saw back there they actually had a copy of Daytona USA Circuit Champion Edition back there. And so I looked at it and then I opened it up on the inside. It's like, let me take a look at it. It's like, oh, please be Netlink, please be Netlink, please be Netlink edition. It's like, yeah, I want this. How much is it? It's like, oh, $7. I'll take it.
This was Trader Village here or in Houston?
No, it's in Houston.
Oh, see,
Yeah, Circuit Champion Edition Netlink.
I don't know if anybody's been to the Trader's Village here in town, but there's 2 stores there that I wouldn't recommend. I'm not trying to dog anybody that's selling games or anything, but when you're selling Barbie on the NES for 18 bucks, you think you'd want to make some money once in a while. I mean, you got to be careful of certain, like if it's a popular flea market, more than likely you got to get there early because a lot of the vendors there, they'll buy that stuff. And if you go on a Sunday, everything that was there, most flea markets open on Wednesday here in town, and all the stuff that's good comes in on Wednesday, right when they open. Those guys have it down to a science. They've been doing it for years. Like there's some guys that have been doing it for 20. They'll buy it, mark it up, and sell it. So it's getting tricky because everybody knows that retro games are demanding it. Like it used to be easy to find Nintendo and Atari games everywhere you went. Like I remember going to Texas Thrift on the corner of Nacogdoches and Thousand Oaks and seeing Atari stuff every day that I went. Any other comments?
She mentioned working design games. For those who don't know what working design was, because the company's no longer around, they specialize specifically in taking Japanese titles and purposely releasing them in smaller print runs than you would find from like Nintendo publishing something. And they would cover it up in this really nice box and put inserts and little cloth maps and all kinds of knickknacks. Like one of them for Lufia, the 2 released for the PS1. They had like little figurines and stuff like that was in there. And they would do that purposely to generate interest in the product. And I always like to get those ones because they do really retain their value. Like some of them, I think they sell for like 300, 500. If they've never been opened, it's ridiculous.
You think about video games that are starting up on Kickstarter. They have, they have the physical boxes now. But they're going to be pretty limited. Are those going to retain their value?
I imagine that they will if the game itself like really takes off and has a lot of nostalgia value.
There was a new Super Nintendo game that was just made recently, right?
They're doing like Wasteland 2. They're making a Wasteland 2. Double Fine Adventure. A couple others. They're doing physical box releases and really limited.
That's cool. I think that's actually like a good thing. I mean, those are startup companies that they're working hard to make games, and any new ideas that need to be out there. There's not many new original ideas anymore. They can pop them out. I'm all for supporting independent game makers and stuff. I saw a hand almost go up right
Yes,
there.
there's a hand right there.
What if you're looking to sell one of your collected items?
Don't use Amazon. Use eBay. I wouldn't trade in. This is gonna sound, like I hate the local industry here, but definitely sell it on eBay. You'll get a lot more interest. You'll get a lot more people that are willing to pay more money.
Yes.
If you try to do a trade in a store, you're not going to get as much. The type of games that I would trade in are the ones that are hard to sell on eBay, which is the ones that kind of suck. But like if you have for example, like Dot Hack or something, or any Final Fantasy title, you can easily eBay that and get at least double or triple what you would get at a trade-in somewhere. Sometimes, in some cases, it's even more.
I actually had a couple of bad experiences with trading. I thought, for some reason I keep getting Ninja Gaiden 2s, every couple months. I'm like, oh, Ninja Gaiden, I can make at least 8, maybe 5 trading that in. and Karate Kid this and DuckTales here. And this guy's like 50 cents, 50 cents, 50 cents, $1 for that. This and that, and I know as soon as I walk out, he's gonna mark them up to like 12 each. And
There's also some fan sites built around specific titles, like for example, Earthbound, the Mother series. There's a site called Earthbound Central, and like they devote their entire site pretty much just finding stuff people are selling on Earthbound, selling on eBay that is related to Earthbound, and that drives up the prices of that stuff. So you can actually put your listing out there and then send them the link to it, and then you'll probably get it sold.
yeah, I would probably do that. Maybe find, like if it's a popular game that you have that you want to trade, just find a forum that's all about that game and say, hey guys, I got this game for sale.
Yeah, there's a couple different forums specifically for doing that.
A good one is Nintendo Age or like Atari Age. Those guys are all about collecting. So if you have anything that you want to trade, buy or sell, I recommend going like Nintendo Age, Atari Age, anything that has an age at the end of it. Yeah.
Assassin's Creed Age.
Yeah,
Any
more
other
people.
questions? Anything to input?
Another thing that that you got to be careful of that I see a lot is some games, like let's say for example somebody like you mentioned the condition of Earthbound. For some reason, some people that sell games, a lot of places I've noticed, they don't even kind of clean it. Like when they buy it, you'll see like dust, or the label will have stickers on games. Like, pardon my French, piss me off bad. Like like you see the GameStop stickers. There's always like the stupid 99-cent price, but then this store has like the $6.99 on there, and then on the back you see like a Be Kind Rewind, and you're like, it's not even a VHS tape,
It's getting even worse than that. There's a lot of people now making dupes where they download the ROM, they overwrite a cartridge, and they put their own little label over it and stuff, and they sell it as if it is that game.
Yeah.
And the only way you would know is if you opened it up and actually had the knowledge to identify that that was not an Earthbound card.
So yeah, the big thing is
That is one drawback with eBay now.
condition of the game. You got
piracy.
to be careful about the condition of a game if you buy it, because lots of times I have many experiences where I buy something off of eBay and then I get it and there's marker all over the freaking game, and or the worst is when you can see that they like practically used like something to dig in the cartridge and put their initial like on the side, like especially Super Nintendo cartridges. You see that a lot, like the little part you see like J-A-Y or Smith or something, and it's just poor Super Nintendo cart, you know what I mean? And for some reason, Super Nintendo cartridges are starting to get a lot more pricier than most other systems. And I guess that's because, that system's the one that's in demand now, but you always gotta check the condition. That's what I learned. Especially with CD games, you gotta be careful, because one time I got like a couple GameCube games from Blockbuster even. You think they would have at least a buffer machine, and you can't even get past the title screen on them.
Is everybody pretty much just like interested in console games? Nobody's interested in like arcade games, arcade cabinets?
Boo.
Boo!
I want to meet whoever collects arcade machines. I'd go to their house every day. I would go to their house every day.
I used to have a lot of arcade cabinets.
Actually, on that note, there's a place in Austin I go to called Pinballs, and they're selling the arcade machines like I could get DDR for like $4,000. I mean, if I was to get an arcade,
I wouldn't pay for it now, no.
I actually saw a Play Choice 10 on Craigslist like a couple weeks ago, and it was only $400, and I was like, well, that's one paycheck. I can live without, lights for a while. And I thought about it, but you got to be wary on Craigslist too. I had one bad experience on Craigslist. It was, if it looks too good to be true, go somewhere where the guy can plug in what you're gonna buy. Because I bought it in television, and it had all box games. There was easily about 20 box of television games with it. He only charged me $40, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and take it. He met me at an HEB parking lot, and the second I got home, tried to plug it in, controller didn't work. Then I'm like, I'm gonna tear it up, clean it out, fix that. Maybe I'll switch. I had two televisions, by the way, so I switched the other controls, and none of it worked. Texted the guy, hey, nothing's working. Can I meet up with you? Never heard anything again. So you gotta be careful of that. Sometimes you take big hits to the head, big hits, and it sucks because that could have been spent on something else like Earthbound or Musha or
You already have a movie.
DuckTales 2 or something.
So do you think 4,000 is too much for a DDR?
It is
Yes.
now. It is now. It is.
It is now?
Nobody's
Okay.
really playing DDR anymore, so it's kind of hard to justify that cost. And there's so many of those machines now.
I think for any machine, 4,000 is too much, to be
It
honest.
depends.
I
The
wouldn't.
rare ones. What are some rare arcade cameras?
Well, in your opinion, what would be a fair price for a DDR arcade machine?
I'm not
Now-
an expert in that field, but
Okay.
I personally, if I was like gonna open up an arcade or something, I wouldn't pay more than maybe 500-600.
Yeah.
600, really?
Yeah.
I mean, if you really look at like how often is someone gonna play DDR now?
You gotta think
That's
maintenance. You gotta think maintenance too. How, like, what
Yeah,
conditions
they're
it
expensive
has.
to maintain too.
Electricity bills.
Uh,
Yeah.
That's why I didn't buy one.
I was just thinking, what was a machine that ate my money the most often and I couldn't stop?
Simpsons Arcade.
Yeah. And then just
I couldn't get past the
all the time.
freaking
I like
stupid
that.
Krusty the Clown balloon. I couldn't get past that
I'm
one.
partial to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles arcade.
Yeah, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Arcade too.
X-Men, yeah.
X-Men, yeah.
Children of the Atom now.
Yes, children you have too.
But yeah, as I mentioned, you gotta watch how you will and deal because there's a lot of shady stuff
I
out
was
there.
gonna say definitely look at the wiring on the cabinet before you buy it, and there's a lot of really good stuff that people have done.
Sometimes you'll find a good deal though, I want to say San Antonio's Craigslist is getting kind of bad. eBay at times, off and on, depending on, sometimes you'll find good buy now options, but sometimes you'll find good, I found a decent auction for a Virtual Boy the other day. I know in town, a Virtual Boy, barely complete is usually, everybody tries to say 75 to 100, and I found one with 4 games for about 100, and I just went ahead and got that, because, the people here are selling without a game usually, so 4 games.
You guys collect import games too?
I actually have a Famicom and I have a few games like Holy Diver, Final Fantasy 2 and 3. Sometimes it's actually better, depending on the system. I know Sega Master System games, sometimes it's cheaper to buy the European version of it than to actually buy the one in America. For example, Sonic the Hedgehog on the Master System costs more if you get the US version than if you got the European one. And it's exactly the same, just the label on the actual box is different, on the back where the UPC code is. That's the only difference. It's exactly the same, because Master System's region free, I believe, and you can play them anywhere. I mean, there's even games in Brazil that are exclusive that you can buy for pretty cheap.
Speaking of which, have you ever seen the Duke Nukem Mega Drive game that was made in Brazil?
No, I have not.
It's official. It's eye-opening.
Damn, it's nice.
Love
You have a
it.
question now?
Yeah, so there's a place to go get import consoles. That Mizuumi-Con, I managed to acquire a copy of Xenosaga Freaks, and I like to play it, but I'm not willing to mod either of my PS2s. I have one of the original ones from 2001, and I bought a second Slimline to maintain my collection. I have over 50 games. And I just don't want to
There are dealers at a lot of conventions that sell that stuff.
I'd rather
but
get
you
it,
can also-
so I'd like to maybe dabble a little bit in some import games.
I recommend, if you want to look for import consoles, check Austin's Craigslist, because that's where I got my Famicom complete for 30 bucks.
That's kind of
any local places.
No.
Yeah, so-
Famicom easily everywhere I've seen it in town, they're selling it for 75 or more. Austin's, think about it, Austin's a college town, so you got people from all over
I'm
coming.
just in the area.
Yeah, military.
I'm not here in San Antonio.
Yeah, check Austin and Houston's Craigslist. And I mean, yeah, you might have to find a way to pick it up.
We're from
No?
Houston, I don't know about that.
I've seen some good deals from Houston's
Okay.
Craigslist.
Oh, yeah.
You can find everything on eBay, but it depends what you want to pay.
I mean, because you can always order it online, right? And just have it shipped to your post office.
Right, you can find anything online.
Oh, yeah.
There's better places to buy than others. eBay is a good go-to place, you can also find deals. But there are various dealers who do import stuff themselves, and then they don't have to pay for shipping and stuff, so they'll also sell it a little bit cheaper. So,
Unfortunately, everywhere, he lives in Kyle, in the Austin area, so you probably shop at different places. But everywhere I've seen in town, as far as import consoles go, they sell them overpriced, in my opinion. But then again, I'm always looking for the cheapest way to get anything. That's how I am. I'm a cheap gamer. I'm a broke college kid.
I'm not, so I'm willing, if I can
Oh, wow.
spare.
Nice.
I am getting married.
No, I'm older than I love, so I give my dues.
Make sure you consider the difference in electrical output too.
Oh yeah, Japan uses a lower voltage. Well,
Yeah.
we're 120, I think they're 110.
There's converters.
Yeah, you get a converter like that.
And the right television.
Yeah, it might be PAL, yeah, that's right.
Oh no, Japan is
Well,
NTSC.
Japan is NTSC,
Is
right, but it's
yeah,
European, you have to-
I know, I have a TV player that converts PAL to NTSC from the
Nice.
British
Yep.
Dr. Boost.
You got trouble
Yeah,
with
yeah,
HE television.
And then,
Any other questions?
I'd like to hear your opinion about these recently portables. Like, there's one that's called the Super Nintendo Boy. It sounds ridiculous.
Oh, you're talking about the
Like,
consoles
one
that
of
have chips that are portable?
Yeah, the portable like devices that have classic cartridges that that play like things like Super Mario World.
Oh yeah. I actually had a bad experience with those. It's the Power Joy 3.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I had a bad experience with that, and it took me a while to get Goodwill to let me refund it back.
Like it didn't work legitimately as you would hope it would.
It doesn't use the same patents that a Nintendo console would use because those are still in effect. So what they do is they emulate it with a microchip, whereas there would be actual bigger circuit boards and stuff, hardware. They kind of do decent, depends which one you use, but in general they emulate the video and the audio fairly well, but there are minor differences. But for portability, I mean, you can't really, carry around a Super Nintendo or something. So,
There are a couple of handheld systems like the FC Mobile 2. I have one of those that plays NES games, and it even has 2 wireless controllers and a zapper that you can use. It's like infrared, and you can plug an AV cable into the TV, and it works pretty well. But yeah, those bootleg handhelds and stuff like that, it's hit or miss when it comes to most of them because a lot of them aren't even made the same, and they're, not all Power Joy 3s are made exactly the same. Some are defective straight out of the box.
Does
You
it
just gotta be
affect your
careful.
business then? Would you say that would affect your business because of that?
Actually, those aren't even really supposed to be sold anywhere. Actually, I saw somewhere that somebody got sued for distributing them. Actually, like a few years ago. Those are actually, usually you see those only at flea markets and swap meets and stuff like that.
some of the patents are expired, some of them aren't. So, it depends.
Was that a question back there, or? Okay.
Sorry. No, that's good.
What was that?
Have you ever dealt with an issue where you bought a game like online or something like that and it turned out to be a repro?
Yes. I have a copy of Azure Dreams, which is not Azure Dreams. It's red something. It's that little red devil from Ghost and Goblins.
Oh, Firebread.
Yeah, something like, I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah.
But it says Azure Dreams on it. It's not.
See, that's like, I'm trying to get a copy of Mega Man The Wily Wars. And you look online and there's so many different versions of it. Even the ones that say Mega Drive, however, even I can't trust that because they've gotten so good at them. I'm afraid I'm going to pump $100+ dollars into the repro.
That is one of the advantages of shopping locally. You can actually look at this thing and see what it looks like rather than just get I bought some Slayer's anime DVDs a couple years back, and they had the image looked legit, not what I received.
Been there.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yeah.
I haven't had that happen to me yet. Escott guy.
I heard that some companies are making underground NES games for the classic NES system. Is that true?
Yes, there are.
Yeah, there's homebrew. Yeah, there's homebrew NES games, homebrew Atari games. Even there's like an Atari Halo game that's being sold online. Yeah, homebrew is actually another.
It's actually made by money.
Yeah, there's.
Two other guys got together and made it, and they actually distributed cartridges at a convention.
Yeah, homebrew games are a thing that's picking up too, and actually a lot of people are actually starting to get into the collecting of homebrews and hacks and mods and things of that nature, and I find that pretty tricky because while those are rare, it's hard to put a price on them. I mean, obviously you're probably going to spend a retail price to get a homebrew game because that person that made the game is going to want,
What I do think is interesting is that a lot of these cases, they're not manufacturing new, carts. What they're doing is they're taking existing carts, finding one that has the same memory specifications as the game that they want to make, and then overwriting the data. In a lot of these cases, they're sports games, because they're basically worthless in a lot of cases, which is kind of interesting because that's reducing the amount of sports games.
Eventually, those are going to be rare to find. You can find those dime a dozen right now, but imagine 20 years from now, even what, 5 years from now, you know, you're
I
not
don't know
going
if
to
there's
find.
that much production on the homebrew scale, but yeah, eventually it could be.
Do they have any problems with Nintendo telling them anything about licensing issues?
I don't think so because they don't enforce it.
Yeah, I think as long as it's homebrew, I think
Oddly
it's okay.
enough, Nintendo doesn't seem to care.
I think the only thing they worry about is illegal emulation of their games that
Yeah.
they still have copyright
Because they
for.
want to re-release it and do the virtual console stuff.
Yeah.
So when people are spreading the ROMs and duplicating stuff, it kind of eats into that.
They're trying to get rid of that with this SNES emulators online,
Yeah, it's hard. I don't know much in that field, but I'd assume that it's hard to police all of that.
Also, one of their main concerns when they were really hard on licensing cards and fighting unofficial stuff is because they were really afraid of the video game market crashing again because of the swamp of crappy games. Even the crappiest NES game that got released officially was a lot better than some of the really mediocre, like Atari 2600 games, and that allowed the market to recover. That's not really a concern anymore because they're not interested in selling the NES and the Super NES and so forth. They're worried on the current generation of games. Any other questions?
Yeah. Well, I'm probably going to go back to that pawn shop and get more stuff from them. I think a Wii Fit for $39.99 is a fair deal, or should I negotiate that lower?
I don't play Wii Fit.
Pawn shops are kind of hard to negotiate. Usually maybe you have to buy like more than just one thing. I wouldn't pay, maybe 40 is okay for a Wii Fit. Nice Goomba bag. I don't know. Probably. Maybe it'd be cheaper if you bought the game separate and then found the Wii Fit board separate too. I don't know, look into that.
Okay. What would you say about buying like old school consoles from electronics? Because I purchased an NES today. What would you say to that? At least gradually, I'm pretty sure they look at it as a shoe set to collecting.
Yeah, that's probably your best bet. I mean, even though it's a little bit more pricier, at least you know the thing works.
Yeah.
And usually maybe the guy that you bought it from has like a warranty too.
With an NES, it's a big deal because a lot of the pins can very easily go bad. They don't sit just right in there, and the lockout chip doesn't get neutralized. That's the big problem. Like, people like blowing in it. They have nothing to do with that. Really. It has to do with the lockout chip. If you nudge the cartridge just a little bit, you'll finally make that connection and the game will play.
I'm a freaking Nintendo freak. I opened mine, gutted it, and clipped that little NES chip, the fourth pin, and now it just flicks.
It's just like in the dealer's room just now. I bought a Game Gear from one of the guys that was like limited edition red Game Gear, and he told me, "Is like, hey, sometimes you got to jiggle the cartridge or something like that for it to work." And he gave me batteries. He's like, "Oh well, he gave me batteries. I'll just test it right now." He's like, "See if it works," and it works. So sometimes you get a good deal. Sometimes you.
Question that I have is on that game, the specific one called Super Mario All-Stars for the Super NES.
Yes.
A while back, they also had the Super Mario World along with Super Mario All-Stars in the same cartridge.
Yeah, there was.
Do they work?
Yes.
Yes, that was the official release actually. That was bundled with an NES when they sold them. I actually had one of those when I had it.
I wanted to make sure because I wasn't sure if it was a scam where they
No, it's not.
just put them together and they say, here you go.
That actually, yeah, they actually, like when first, the Super Nintendo came out with Super Mario World, once Super Mario All-Stars went out, they bundled it together with the Super Nintendo like that.
Perhaps Star Fox and the also.
Yeah. A lot of the times I know that the not-for-resale games, like if you have like a not-for-resale on the cartridge, some people really get into collecting those. I've heard people claim that the Sonic the Hedgehog that says not for resale is considered rarer than, one that doesn't. But, that's the other thing with collecting games is you hear a lot of hearsay from retailers or other people. And sources for old games are hard to find. I mean, you never really know exactly what makes a game rare. Like how we were saying earlier with Final Fantasy VII, it was a greatest hits. That means there's thousands of copies out there, but it's considered rare. Why is that the deal? You know what I mean? Like, where's the source that states that?
There's certain websites that they determine how rare a game is how often it's being sold on Amazon and eBay, which is one way to make an estimate, but I don't think it's the most efficient way to figure it out. The most efficient way to figure it out is to ask, for certain cartridges like Sega, not so much, but Nintendo, they had to officially approve, like they told developers basically how many copies they were going to produce. And they know, but they don't really want to tell anybody for some reason. I'm trying very hard to find that data from there.
Yeah, we were actually trying to research about Flintstone's Surprise at Dinosaur Peak.
Yeah, this is a game that was part of the Blockbuster like exclusive rental releases, and like it's assumed to be fairly rare. And I guess compared to like most distributed games that were meant for commercial release, it probably is. But how many really exist? I mean, Blockbuster is a huge national chain. If you could think there was at least one in every store, that's easily a couple, hundred, if not thousand. So we don't really know. We just know how often it's appearing on eBay.
Yeah, so that's part where like my advice as far as collecting goes is try to just get the best deals possible. Don't always settle for the first price that somebody gives you. Think of it if you're in your position. If you were selling that game, you would offer this price, but you really wanted, like say I'm saying, okay, $60 for this, but I really want 40 for it. You know what I mean? Always wheel and deal, because it's starting to get a little tricky because of the demand.
Yeah, demand's driving a lot of the prices right now. There's some rare games, like really the PC market. A lot of the early PC releases were shareware stuff, so you got the trial version, then you had to actually mail away for the full version. That's way smaller print runs than for the console market, but they're not worth as much. Lucky for someone to get $1. So it's primarily based upon demand. Like Earthbound, for example. Earthbound is not a rare game. It's a high-end demand game.
Yeah, that's part of why I wish I never sold my stuff as a kid. I mean, the people that did the same thing, I mean, what was like one of the rarest things that y'all got rid of that you wish you still had?
Panzer Saga and Night Force 3. My entire stack. I'm still trying to rebuild that.
I had
It's hard to do it affordably.
mine wasn't a game, but it was, I don't know if y'all have seen it around, but it's like the Nintendo microwave looking cart. Like it's a wheel, like a wooden shelf storage thing. I had one of those when I was a kid, and I got rid of it, and now like every time I see it on eBay, it's like $600. The little wooden storage shelf. I wish I never got rid of that.
I had the plastic like tub lid grid thing. There was like a tray, and you could put some games on the side of the controllers, and there was a black lid that went over the top of it.
Yeah, and all that stuff is like, you find it on eBay, and it's like, man, I had that as a kid, and I wrote on it, and put stickers on it.
My mom let me play with my Voltron in the bathtub. I mean, I really ticked at her for that.
I have never sold a single game.
Oh, wow. How big's your collection?
In the hundreds.
What's the rarest game you have, or what do you consider the rarest?
One of my prides is Sweep It In 2.
It's a good game.
I have a lot of old Square Enix RPGs.
Money.
In fact, I have all of them.
Congratulations.
I think I know whose house we're all going to go play games at next.
That's like
They're still at my parents' house in Pennsylvania. So.
You need to make sure they still have them.
They do.
So you hunt them down and they try to sell your stuff.
I had a friend who actually had a Virtual Boy, and he went all the way to his parents' house, rummaged through the attic, the garage, everything, and it turns out his sister had it, and she was in college at Austin, and he went over there and was like, give me my Virtual Boy back, and he's like, why did you take it without asking me?
I went over to his house today, earlier this morning. He's got a Virtual Boy sitting there. I'm like, are you kidding me? He's like, yes. Like, how much you pay for that?
That's a piece of history.
How much you pay for that?
I already said earlier in the panel.
Oh, you did?
Burn your eyes out, I know.
It's ridiculous.
You don't play it. You put it on your shelf and you admire it.
You look at it.
I play like 10 minutes at a time. That's like, I'm actually a big Sega collector for over 20 years. I have like over 300 Genesis games. So my rarest one, I think, is either Alien Soldier. I actually have a copy of the import Alien. Well, they're both imports. Like Alien Soldier and Nightmare Circus.
Do you have Musha?
Yes, I have Musha.
I have Musha
I got
too.
a Game Over right here in town.
Oh yeah? Yeah, Musha is pretty pricey. That's one that I didn't even know until I looked.
That's probably, that's probably free.
About $250 to $300 on eBay. Sometimes even just for a loose card. I hate loose Genesis cartridges. There's no excuse for that.
Yeah, give you a high five.
Yeah, don't let anybody sell you a loose Genesis cartridge for too much, because that's crap.
More questions or input? Anybody?
Oh yeah.
As far as Sega games go, I like to collect Master System games. I don't know if everybody's familiar with the Master System, but I think it was, I'm an NES guy, but I think the Master System was way better than the NES.
Alright, I got a good one for you then. Do you have the official tech toy Street Fighter 2 import for Master System?
No, I do
You
not.
don't have it?
I didn't even know there was one.
Look it up, man.
I heard there's a Mortal Kombat 2 on the Master System too.
There is, and there's a Virtual Fighter animation. I think it's important.
A lot of those are from Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the Master System survived for a long time.
Yes, the Sega's.
I don't know if they still are, but I know they did for a lot longer than everywhere else.
Like that Duke Nukem I just talked about. Like, man, this is crazy.
There's something in Genesis for $45 and
You can probably get cheaper at that Goodwill I was mentioning. If you shop around, like the ones at the Goodwill, the problem is that you don't know if they work or not.
If you get a Genesis, get a Gen 2.
So there can be advantages to buying something you know works. Even if you pay a little bit more than you would somewhere else, then you're not sure it works.
So like, your collection, like what do you do for nostalgia or fun, or like what got you into collecting?
nostalgia and fun. I missed out on the generations except for the Nintendo 64 is where I started. But I like to go back to the older games because I prefer a lot of them to the animes. Like I hate Call of Duty.
Thank you.
I like these
So everybody here is basically collecting mostly for nostalgia, right? Yeah, we gotta make sure we keep the collecting in line, and everybody that's, you know, causing the demand to be high, tell them, hey, you know, don't ruin the fun for us. It looks like the next panel people are starting to come in, or everybody likes us.
Yeah, you guys are cool.
And be sure to check out our YouTube. Mine's easy to remember. My username is Messy Video Game Nerd.
I can make it even easier. I have a website, which, anybody familiar with like Giant Bomb, for example?
Yeah.
Okay, those who don't know what Giant Bomb is, it's kind of like imagine Kotaku merged with Wikipedia. They have like their own internal game database. I have my own site that we're in the beta release of right now, and it's aimed specifically at RPGs. But Eric is also on there. The address is rpgfanatic.net. If you type RPG Fanatic, it's probably the first thing that's going to pop up.
My .com's the 8bitericshow.com, so you go there. That's where you can find us. We put out content all the time. I've already recorded a ton of stuff for this. What's up?
You guys located here?
I live in San Antonio, and
I used to live in San Antonio. Now I live out toward Austin.
I mean, I'm out and about all the time. I'm probably gonna check out the Art Slam that's later on tonight. I'll be over
What is that
there.
again? Video game messy nerd?
Huh?
Video game messy nerd?
Messy Video Game Nerd. But go to the 8bitericshow.com too, and has all my.
Or just type RPG Fanatic. Like he's in the featured contributors section. I got a direct link to his website in the blog section.
Yeah, well, we appreciate y'all coming out. If y'all have any more questions or comments or anything, or you know, you want to talk to us on the side if y'all are shy or something like that. I like talking games with anybody any day, and you know, I'll trade, collect, buy, sell, anything, you know.
Yeah, thanks for coming, guys. We really appreciate it.
We appreciate it. Thanks. Yeah, good luck, and you know, if y'all do find us on the net, message us if you find any, you know, games, or if you make your own videos, video responses or something, you know, we'll give you a shout out or something like that. Or if y'all want to go game hunting, I'll freaking go.
We'd love to hear about it.
Are y'all on Facebook?
Yeah.
I'm on Facebook as well, RPG Fanatic.
I'll trade it. Well, I have the Scott fan page on my Facebook.
Cool.
Thanks, guys.
Hey guys, you like this video? Be sure to check out my other videos here, and also subscribe. Thanks a lot. This is 8-Bit Eric, and I hope you have a nice day. Peace.